Good evening, race fans, and welcome to tonight's coverage of the Area 51 Gen 4 Super Speedway Series here on Sunday nights. Apologies for the technical difficulties there. We've got the graphic up for you. It is going to be 90 laps here at Atlanta Motor Speedway in the playoffs, and we are ready for a good battle here tonight in the nighttime here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Looking forward to should be the third race of the playoffs here. Looking forward to filling in for Guy L. Brooks this week and have some fun as we cover what should be an exciting event tonight at Atlanta Motor Speedway, the second to last race on the season. Next week will be the last race at Talladega Super Speedway to decide the champion here on Sunday night. And a lot of fun in store for you here. So we've got qualifying ongoing now. A couple drivers still taking their qualifying times, getting ready for the race, and we'll bring up the point picture here in just a second just to show you what that looks like and see how close that is for those drivers battling for that championship. And you see it there. So Gabe Butler has a top spot at the moment with 1,065 points. Rick Sanchez, though, hot on his heels, and so is Dean Wilkinson and Nicholas Wing, all within 10 points there of that first place position. Gabe jumping 6 positions after last week's race. He won at iRacing Super Speedway and is looking to carry that momentum further on into the season. William Bogart still has a solid points position at 1,052. Back in the 5th position, Dude Conrad, 1,051 in 6th. Zach Perry, 1 spot back, 1 point back for Bud Steele and Jim Brooks behind that in 8th and 9th. Kawabe Brooks there with 1,047. Eric Laurie, 1,040. And Vicente Guerrero with 1,021. So for the most part, it's anybody's game. Pretty much everybody, almost every competitor, all the way back to 10th, is within 20 points of the leader. And with a decent-sized field, you never know what could happen with these plate races and how unpredictable they can be at times. But we're looking forward to calling this action for you here tonight. And yeah, going to be a good race. Love the nighttime. We've seen a lot of struggles and issues with the setups and how loose these cars drive here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. So it'll be fun to see how the drivers can manage that and tackle that throughout the night. And we'll bring up that starting grid for you here in just a moment. Looking to see what drivers are already on pit road here. We've got a couple. And you can see the number 88 machine. He's going to be on your pole for tonight. That's Gabe Butler for Team Bootnaga Esports in that Guinness Chevrolet. On the outside of row number 1 is going to be the teammate to Gabe. That's going to be Kevin Freese, and he is going to be in that number 25 machine. Rick Sanchez is also hot in the championship points battle there. He's going to start in the 3rd position, and Dean Wilkinson also right up there is going to be starting in your 4th position. Bud Steele, a number 5th spot. He's going to be in the number 6 car for Roswell Motorsports. And Patrick Groover is going to be to the outside of him on row number 3. Rare qualifying attempt for Patrick Groover. I know the Groover brothers typically will just elect to not qualify and hang out in the back of the pack. So Patrick's going to have a solid starting position tonight in that 6th position. We've got Charles Johnson there in the inside of row number 4, and Ryan Decker with the Sensi-sponsored machine. He's going to be in that number 48, the outside of row number 4. And rounding up the top 10, it's going to be Robert Hooligan side by side with Jason Bogart in the 017. Eric Laurie in the 071 will be in the 11th starting position, and Carl Lingle of Blind Squirrel Racing is going to be to his outside starting P12. And we are just about ready to roll off here. We'll keep going through the grid here. As you see, Kawabe Brooks is going to start to the inside of row number 7, and Nick Wing is going to be to his outside there. Ambrose Kniebel, another Blind Squirrel Racing driver, he is inside of row number 7, and Seth Groover not electing to take qualifying time. He's going to be outside of row number 8. Dustin Logston and Ed DeBoer are going to start side by side in the 81 and 12 machines respectively, while Zach Perry of 1776 Motorsports is going to start the inside of Jim Brooks in the number 51, Area 51 sponsored machine. And then Bob Fitzgerald and Mike Rimkus are going to start shotgun last row on the field. Bob to the inside and Mike to the outside, and that is your starting 22-car grid for tonight as the lights are off on the pace car. And we will take the short 1.5 mile around this speedway, that short trip for the shortest track on the schedule. In 1.5 miles in distance, the intermediate that was repaved a few years ago to feel a lot more like a super speedway. And these cars are going to be flying, running very quick laps around a very tight racetrack. So we'll see what happens and what could be in store as we come off of turn number 4. It's going to be Gabe Butler who will be leading us to the green flag. Pace car will drop off momentarily, and it'll be under his discretion for when we start this race. And as they get through the Geico restart zone, the green flag is in the air and waving. We are underway for the first lap of the scheduled 90 for tonight. Rick Sanchez giving a good push to the 88 as he gets clear out ahead of the pack for now. And we get the 9 ducking to the bottom. He's going to jump to the tail end of the field. Assuming there's no issue there, but more than likely just trying to avoid the chaos and jump to the back and get ready and just kind of ride along back there for Charles Johnson. So at the front, though, it's going to be the 25 of Kevin Freese grabbing that first lap lead of the race there, you see. And you also see the names in green. Those are your drivers that are battling for that championship. Remember, Gabe Butler is in the lead of the points right now, and Rick Sanchez and Dean Wilkinson are hot on his heels in those point standings, and they are looking to get every advantage that they can over that driver who's at the lead at the moment and try and bring home this championship. It is a tight battle between 3 guys that have been very, very familiar with battling for championships here in Area 51. Obviously, Gabe, one of the most prolific winners here in the series history, but obviously Rick Sanchez has quite a few race wins to his name. Dean Wilkinson does as well, and these guys race really hard and race very respectively, but very, very hard, and it'll be a fun battle to see who comes out on top. But you can see all of them up at the front trying to make everything they can happen, trying to control this race and take over what they can, but it's a stalemate at the moment as we are 2 by 2. So I mentioned the speeds. These drivers are putting in about just under 30-second laps here at a 1.5 mile speedway, and you can see in the corner there, so this is Kevin Freese, our current leader, 178 miles an hour through the center of the corner, and you'll see he'll pick up a little bit of speed here down the front straightaway. Now, obviously, back in the day, when this was, an older style oval, they may still reach speeds of, 180, 190 down the front stretch of the backstretch, but there was no way that they were ever holding 180 through the middle of the corners, and that is where you see about a 5 or 6 second difference in the lap times between the previous generation of Atlanta Motor Speedway, paved back in 1996, and then the newly repaved back a couple years ago to the new configuration. It's same width in the corners as Daytona at 40 feet wide, but it still feels a lot tighter just because the radius of the corner is a lot tighter, and obviously the distance traveled through the corner is a lot tighter. So even though you have the same width there, it's very difficult, even more so difficult than Daytona, to hold these cars wide open 3 wide. So you see that they have the lanes there between the seams. You can pretty much fit a car between every seam, but then on the front stretch where it widens out, you get an extra lane and the apron, and then comes back into 3 lanes through the corners. So a very fun repave, and these drivers are seeming to manage it pretty well. I know we've seen, especially on obviously my experience is more with the Xfinity cars on Thursday nights, but we've seen a lot of cars that were very, very loose at this racetrack. Some of it was just iRacing model update. Some of it's been differences in setups that we've run. But nonetheless, it had been a handful for most of the cars that come here, especially as the run goes on and the tires wear out, because this is really the only track that we talk about tire wear at pretty much on the entire schedule and the entire calendar all season long. But so far, clicking off laps led, it goes so fast. Obviously, when you're running 30-second laps, you can run 2 laps a minute and the race could be over in 45 minutes if all went well, but we'll have to wait and see. We have a little bit of a gap kind of forming here back, so Carl Lingle back to the Bud Steel machine there. About 7/8 of a second there. Not too much of an issue there, but definitely a little bit of a gap where you can see that front pack is starting to pull away just a little bit there. And then we saw Charles Johnson pull off early, and it looks like there might have been actually an issue for him, so he has lost the draft as he did that. So it seemed like he was just pulling off to try and ride around in the back, but didn't check in soon enough to realize whether he was going to stay with the draft or not. But it looks like he's lost that draft. He's running about a second slower than our leaders are at the moment, and that's probably indicative of a healthy car, but that's just lost the draft. So we'll see for Charles if he is able to catch another drafting partner, maybe under a green flag pit cycle, or if a yellow would come out to save him. But nonetheless, definitely not a fun position to be in when you're just riding full throttle around, not able to save fuel because you're not in the pack, and really having no one else to race around. Because obviously that's that's why we're all here, is to have fun and do a little bit of racing. So yeah, 11 laps to go. We've got about 10 cars here under that blanket. Then you've got another. You got Bud Steel now leading this kind of second pack. And it looks like there's a little bit of a gap further back as Ambrose Kniebel, Bob Fitzgerald, and Mike Rimkus are falling off the pace just a little bit here. I'm not sure if there was an issue in the further on back, but they're definitely still within striking distance of that draft that they should get back there from Jim Brooks. So we'll see if these guys can catch up or if that gap starts to grow. I know we've always said that you want to be within about a second or so of the car ahead of the car ahead of you, and if you can be within that second, even if it is a single car, then you have probably a pretty good opportunity to be able to catch that draft and catch up to that pack of whoever's in front of you. Now, if it's too wide up and ahead of you, kind of like we are here at the front, then that gap grows even bigger. Definitely makes it easier to try and climb up to that pack, and obviously 2x2 they'll cut a bigger hole through the air, less drag and resistance on the nose, and therefore you can be a little bit further back than a second behind a too wide pack to catch that up. But it looks like we see the 32 of Seth Groover didn't take a qualifying time, or didn't elect to, but he has found his brother, as he usually does, and is in the outside lane. He's up 11 spots at the moment, who is our hardest charger. And you see Dean Wilkinson, he's trying to control the outside lane there. The 25 of Kevin Freese was clear and free from his teammate, and he drops down in front of the 88. So Kevin Freese takes over the point of this race, then the 88 and the 5, and that's pretty much where they've started. The 88 and the 5 were right there, right in front of each other at the beginning of this race, and then the 55 was there on the back and forth. So he has improved 3 positions now to move up to the lead as they see him charging into turn number 1 and 2 with the help of the Groover brothers. And we'll see if the 55 can mount enough of a charge to get clear and ahead of Kevin Freese, but it's for the most part it's been a stalemate. Really the only pass that we've seen up front, obviously lap by lap you might see the inside of the outside lane lead, and that would technically be a lead change, but as far as cars actually in front of the leader, really the only change that's been there has been obviously the 25 of Kevin Freese dropping down in front of the 88 of Gabe Butler. So definitely a few lead changes for sure, just between the outside and the inside lanes, but not a lot of changes as far as who's at the top of that line. And the 55 is going to get clear. That's going to be technically that second change leading that pack on the inside lane. So the Groover brothers are going to have an opportunity to see what they can do and try to get to the front of this pack, as they both looks like they touched the wall just a little bit there. And the 55 is going to potentially move back up and work with them, as the 25 does get clear underneath the 55, so they are side by side once again. And further on back, it looks like everyone's just kind of riding around single file. Everyone's just kind of hanging out. Pretty much the rest of the field back here is all single file. As we run around some old school paint schemes here for the 76 of Zach Perry, and then obviously the 28 of Nick Wing, very iconic Haviline paint scheme. Definitely, these cars, the Gen 4 series cars, which used to be run honestly, about 20 years ago in NASCAR, lend themselves to nostalgia in a lot of different ways, and it's cool to see all the different paint schemes that these drivers bring to the racetrack every single week. So, we'll look back at the 51 of Jim Brooks, and you see behind him now, Bob Fitzgerald has actually fallen off to about a 2-second deficit from Jim Brooks. Now, he does have Mike Rimkus in tow, and then he does have Ambrose Kniebel there with him as well. But you can see that they are maybe a tenth or two slower that last time Ambrose was to the cars ahead of him, and now he catches back up, so he should have enough draft. But so Bob Fitzgerald and Mike Rimkus, they're running similar speeds to the leaders. They are, that 2-second gap is a little concerning, but for now I think it's okay. But we'll try and keep an eye on that, because that's other than a couple changes for position up at the front. That's really kind of the most exciting thing that's happening is now the 25 and the 28 kind of have pulled away a little bit, as the 55 is now battling side by side with the 5 of Rick Sanchez. Gets a good run into 1 and 2. Pulls along the quarter panel of the 88 and tries to continue to move forward as the Groover brothers are still in the outside with him. Not really pushing the issue out there, as you can see about a car length in between the 55 and the 54 at the moment, and between the 54 and the 32. So not much of an urgency for those guys in the high lane at the moment here, as we continue to work around the speedway, working on lap number 21 at the moment. And it is crazy how quickly these laps again can click off when you are doing sub 30-second laps. We've fallen off a little bit, so most of our drivers are somewhere in the mid 29-second range for a best lap, somewhere in the high 29s, but everybody under 30 seconds there. Now, the last time by, the fastest lap on the speedway was about a 31:26. So about a second and a half of fall off here, and you can definitely tell that these cars are starting to slide around just a little bit more side by side as they enter the corners, and that tire wear definitely going to play into some strategy, I virtually guarantee, for us tonight. But we'll see. The 32 a little high off of turn number 2, and he's going to get in the wall. No harm, no foul. He keeps it pointed straight. But he is definitely going to lose a little positions here, and he's going to get back into the wall again and almost makes contact with a 76, and he's going to have a bunch of damage probably now, as it looks like there is a lot of damage to the right front fender of that number 32, so potentially a right front wheel bearing issue, but may need to come down pit road and get that car serviced. In order to maybe even have to burn a fast repair, but we'll see if he can hang on to the tail end of this lead pack. He's got the pace, it seems, as the moment. He's hanging on to the back of Jim Brooks, so hopefully it was just a bit of a moment. But you see there, entering turns 3 and 4, he gets really tight and washes up the hill. So hopefully that was just an issue of too much throttle in the corner and not an issue with the wheel there. So we'll have to keep an eye on that on him. But Kevin Freese continues to lead us around the speedway. He still has his teammate right behind him. Rick Sanchez and the 5 still behind him there. And Dean Wilkinson continue to work on the high side again with Patrick Groover now that Seth has vacated the chat there for a minute, back to the back of this pack. It's 55 and the 54 that are alone working on the high side together. And they are probably going to be looking to find a spot. The 54 a moment there, heading into turn number 1. But they're going to try and find a way to get to the inside lane at some point and try to work their way down, because we've got some pit stops coming soon. Obviously, if we can get to the point where maybe after lap 30 or so, if we can stretch it that far, then there'd be an opportunity to only have to pit twice throughout the rest of the duration of this race. And you see the 55 is going to find a spot there behind the 071 of Eric Laurie. While the 54 will continue to battle. He's working alongside the 17 of Jason Bogart and is trying to find a spot for him to get down to the bottom lane. But pretty much single file here now, other than the 54 is the 25, the 88, and the 5 now. Single file in the basically the top 3 right now at the moment. The Eric Laurie 071 machine, he's up 7 spots here in the top 5. Pretty solidly. Dean Wilkinson there dropping back 1 spot after starting 4th, but he finds that spot in the inside line to be able to make a pit stop soon. And the 54 and the 17 still side by side. They're in 6th and 7th, swapping those back and forth at the moment. Robert Hooligan has had a quiet night, just kind of hanging out here in the back of the top 10 or so. Currently scored in the 8th position, and just trying to have a good quiet night here in the Lowe's Power of Pride paint scheme. Then we got Carl Lingle back here in 9th, and Bud Steele in 10th, and as of right now, that is your top 10. Moving further on back the field, Ryan Decker is there in the 11th position. Zach Perry of 1776 Motorsports here is in the 12th position. He's up 7 spots from his starting position of 19th so far. We already documented the Haviland colors of Nick Wing. And Dustin Logston back here in the number 81 Chevrolet finds himself in 14th. Koabe Brooks back in 15th. And we've got Ed DeBoer here in the number 12 Black Rifle Coffee machine. He is going to be in the 16th position. The flagship colors, Area 51 green white checker TV for Jim Brooks, currently in the 17th position. Seth Groover able to hold on to the back of that lead pack after having the issue where he got up and into the wall, so not likely too much damage for him. May some point still elect to take that fast repair, but probably going to be able to save that, as might have just been a moment where he could have got loose, but you can see there's still that damage on the right front. Doesn't seem to be affecting the car any at this point, which is good for the 32. So back on to 19th. So we've seen that gap has fallen quite a bit for Bob Fitzgerald off of the tail end of Jim Brooks. Now finds himself about 10 seconds behind Jim Brooks, and a few more seconds off the leaders there. So yeah, about 12 and a half seconds or so to the leaders, but about 10 seconds behind Jim Brooks there. So definitely unfortunate that they lost the draft. They're still running okay lap times, but they're definitely about a half a second or more slower compared to the top of the field. And then Charles Johnson, who lost the draft almost immediately in this race, still unfortunately just kind of riding around. Now he's gotten to the point where he's within about 0.3 of a second of the leaders, and I think a lot of that's going to have to do with kind of tire management. When you get to the point where the draft doesn't matter nearly as much, you can kind of compensate for that a little bit by just having a fast car. And obviously you can see he's running a very old school Atlanta line there, entering kind of high, arcing the corner, then dropping it to the bottom. And that is, thankfully for him for now, at least managing or mitigating that gap. But it is about 22 seconds to our leader, so he is potentially in danger of going a lap down here before our first pit cycle. And then we did see Ambrose Knievel. He had to come to pit road. He stopped for about 46 seconds, so I'm not entirely sure if there was a damage issue, and you can see that right front tire poking out quite a bit past that fender, so potentially a right front issue for him. And we can see he is about a half a second or so off of the pace of the rest of the field, so battling a couple issues in that number 04 Chevrolet. But we'll jump back to the front of the field. Lap number 33, we're already through the first third of the 90-lap scheduled distance. 25 of Kevin Freese, he got in front of the 88 of Gabe Butler, and he's just kind of sat there, teammates just hanging low and trying to do what they can to take command of this race and race it out. Rick Sanchez there, you see now he started third. He's still in the third position, and he's just kind of riding around back there. Other than that, not too much has changed since we started through the field there, but you see actually Patrick Groover, when we left, he was working alongside Jason Bogart, and now you can see falls back a little bit there, but he was last lap working through Robert Hooligan, so he's trying to see what he can do by himself on that outside lane, just trying to again manage the throttle and that tire wear. Again, when the tires wear out a little bit more here at Atlanta compared to other speedways, you can kind of mitigate the draft. Obviously, the draft always helps. And if you lose that draft, it's going to be difficult, but you can kind of manage that a little bit more, where you don't necessarily need to have the push of another car just to be able to try and make momentum, to try and definitely try and get to the high side, and to be a single car helps. But it's also funny because we've seen that high lane, when it did get connected, they weren't able to really push past the leaders. Not sure if there's something within the model, or if that's just something that's really difficult on the high side, but it's interesting to see that by himself, Patrick Groover is able to make up almost as much ground as we've seen 3 or 4 or 5 cars together in the high lane. In the 54 just barely brushes the wall here. He's going to lose a little bit of momentum and fall back a little bit here, but single file so far, mostly through the first third again. as Kevin Freese continues to click off laps led here. And it's just a flip-flop of the starting positions for the two Team Bootnaka Esports drivers, as Kevin is up one spot from starting in second. Gabe obviously down one spot starting from the pole. And it looks like Ambrose Kniebel is going to come back down pit road and get service to that number 04, and looks like potentially another scrape of the wall for him. So that's going to be probably some damage repair he's going to have to attend to here, but we are well on our way into fast repair for the 04. You see the pop and the paint scheme is now refreshed, and fast repair for the 04, and he'll get back out on track. So that will be all 22 drivers still racing. Ambrose will be, I believe, a couple laps down by the time he gets back out onto the speedway there, and then yeah, everybody else other than all the way through 18th still in this lead pack, as we are working on lap number 39. We're almost getting to the point where we'd have the ability to maybe make this race a one-stopper. So we'll see how close it ends up being to that with the pit strategy here or not. But we'll see. Ambrose Kniebel will rejoin. He may have an opportunity to actually hold on to the back of this pack and draft here. We'll see. He's not quite up to speed yet, but getting there, and hopefully able to at least mitigate the damage. Now we show him scoring shows him as 5 laps down, so quite a ways to dig out of for Ambrose Kniebel. But that's other than Charles Johnson kind of losing the draft there. That's really kind of the only car that's had really an incident here tonight. It's been pretty quiet so far. Working on lap number 40, coming to 41, and waiting to see when the first drivers will need to come down pit road and get service to these Gen 4 cars. It'll be interesting to see who takes what as far as fuel and tires. Obviously, you're going to fill it all the way with fuel. But there'll be some gambles, I'm sure, to see taking 2 tires versus 4 tires. I know in the past we've seen where 4 tires are definitely helpful for sure for the tire management, tire wear, and that grip. But who knows? Obviously, it's nighttime in the sim. Obviously, didn't check the air temperature, but a lot of times that'll come with cooler air temperatures and allow the track to be a little more grippy. So hopefully that means that there's a little bit less tire wear, and who knows, maybe 2 tires will work better. But we have definitely seen the advantages of 4 tires be well worth the additional time in that pit stop there. So yeah, just about to the halfway point, and continuing to click off laps led for the 25, and it looks like the Groover brothers are actually going to blink first. Ooh, the 54 is going to have a moment. He's going to slide, and what a save for the 54 on pit road. He is going to make his way down with Seth, and they are going to pit now in the 17th and 18th position, so that tail end of that lead lap. But man, a big moment for Patrick, and we'll see. Hopefully no penalties. He does slide through his box, though, so he may have to wait a second, or Seth may have to wait a second for him so that they can stay connected when they get off of pit road. But we'll see, as that looks like, yep, the 54 is going to be held there for a little while, I believe. Yeah, definitely a penalty for probably too fast entering for the 54, and as the 32 is well on his way already. So those are the first pit stops, so those guys are probably going to have to pit at least one more time. Unfortunately, not able to stretch it the distance to go to the 45 lap mark. Pretty much everybody else that can pit as the field goes by pit road, pretty much everybody that can pit from now on is going to be able to make it on one stop. It's still close, and obviously the longer they can go, the longer they can wait, the better it'll be, just to try and see what they can do to you can put less fuel in, obviously, in the car, and also more security, just to know that you can go a further distance. But the longer you wait to fuel the car up, or the longer you wait to pit, the less fuel you have to put in. If you don't have to put a full fuel load in, sometimes that's helpful too, because that's a little bit less fuel. But if you're taking 4 tires, it really doesn't matter too much. That'd probably be more important when you're taking 2, because we had a little bit of a little bit of a connection hiccup there potentially on the iRacing side of things. And we'll try to see. Looks like we're still doing okay. Bit of a hiccup on the iRacing side of things. It looks like we're doing okay here in OBS, but we'll pay attention to that. Hopefully no other issues. Oh, there's an issue for the 5 of Rick Sanchez. He gets in the wall just a little bit there, entering turn number 1. But he is okay, just a bit of a brush, and he is on his way, no problem. So we can see that it looks like now up to about 12th place have actually separated away from the main pack. So we got leaders pitting, actually. Kevin Freese, the 126 of Robert Hooligan, and the 25 of Kevin Freese, Gabe Butler in the 88. And then before that, actually, after Dean Wilkinson's going to come in from further on in the pack. The previous lap, Carl Lingle, Bob Fitzgerald, and Mike Rimkus all came in as a group together. So some of our leaders coming in now. And then Rick Sanchez will take over the lead. A little bit lonely. He had a little bit of a distance to the 6 of Bud Steele. That gap is closing out more so because the 5 is pitting. And we'll see Jason Bogart's going to come with him. Zach Perry is also going to come with him. And so will the 071 of Eric Laurie in this time. So Bud Steele will take over the lead of this race in that number 6 Navy Ford Mustang. So pretty much everyone here going to have the opportunity to go the full distance on one stop, and it looks like the 48's looking to make a pit stop here, so is the 6, so most of the Roswell Motorsports drivers are coming in this time. Pretty much all of them, actually. Yep, the 6, the 28, the 12, the 51, the 53, all in there in a group together. That's going to leave Dustin Logston out to his lonesome, so he's got the 9 of Charles Johnson ahead of him. And remember, Charles Johnson was just ahead of the leaders, tail end of the lead pack, and he still is. And you'll see the 81 looks like he's going to make his move to try and come down pit road as he's slowing a bit there through 3 and 4, and will be the last one to take a lap time there. Or, sorry, not a lap time, excuse me, take a pit stop. Yeah, so I think for the most part, everyone should be able to pit one time. There's a couple there, obviously the 32 and the 54 that we'll have to keep an eye on. Bud Steele's coming off of pit road. He has the lead right now, but we'll see this pack, the 126 and the 88, they've got quite a bit of momentum as they come down the back straightaway. We'll see where these guys all blend together, and it'll be pretty easy for the 126, the 88, and the 5 to take over the 6 and the 48 as they get back up to speed. So we'll see how much of this lead pack can reform from that. Obviously, the 5 is pulling away just a little bit ahead of Kevin Freese, but not enough. I think we'll have a pack all the way back to 13th still. And, oh, something to keep an eye on. Dean Wilkinson is not going to be able to catch the back of this pack. He is about 2 seconds behind 12th place Zach Perry. So could have been an issue. It doesn't look like it was an issue on pit road. He had a little bit of a slower stop, but not terrible. Pretty much everybody, for the most part, taking 4 tires and fuel. I think Bud Steele, Ryan Decker, Nick Wing, Ed DeBoer were the only ones that really only took 2 tires. Actually, no, the whole Roswell Motorsports group only taking 2 tires. But Dean Wilkinson taking 4 tires, and he has lost the lead draft. So that's going to be potential huge implications for the championship chase, as he is right on the heels of Gabe Butler in the championship, but not on the racetrack right now, as he is about 2 seconds behind, and Gabe Butler is comfortably up in the 2nd place, has made his final pit stop, and ready to set sail for the rest of this race. So that could be potential danger for the 55 of Dean Wilkinson and his champs at the championship there. And I'm also noticing that we are also joined by Matt Wagner up here in the booth. So I'll let you do some talking for a little while, buddy. How are you doing tonight? Matt Wagner, do you have a copy?
Hey, okay. I was just listening to you, my friend.
Yeah.
You were doing your thing, and I was really enjoying your side of the broadcast.
Yeah, just having fun with it, and yeah, it's definitely easier to bounce it back and forth, and gets a little tired with the voice, but yeah, appreciate you joining us, and yeah, what have I guess obviously it's hard for me because I don't with the streamer mode and everything in Discord, I can't hear when you join, but how much of the show have you enjoyed so far?
Uh, Actually, quite a bit of strategy that's going on through here, and I was looking at the pit stops while you were talking. So Robert Hooligan, our leader, he took 4 tires, and I was back here. I was looking at Gabe Butler. It looked like he took 4 tires as well. Uh, I'm looking at the 25 of Kevin Freeze. He took right sides only. I wonder if that is going to take an effect here. I've seen most of these guys took right sides only. That's very interesting, Boomer. I'm really anxious to see how well those 4 tires of Robert Hooligan and all of them are going to hold up and stay up toward the front. I've been noticing the 32s, they're just trying to creep right up there. He's been quiet the whole entire time that I've been watching. Uh, it's quite very interesting, this race. These guys' strategies, and it's quite a bit of setting now. We have never, I don't think we ever ran here at the nighttime. I think this is the first time we ran here at the nighttime. So, track conditions are going to be a little bit easier for these drivers, but not much big high of a track temp as we saw here in the past.
Yeah, I know we've seen very high track temps even at the nighttime. In the nighttime, sometimes when we've come here, or no, well, there's been a couple different. Obviously we've done in the day, in the night. There was one that was like almost like a morning race, but the track temperature was like 128, 129 degrees Fahrenheit,
Ugh.
and I know for a fact. The highest that iRacing can get for at least for Atlanta Motor Speedway is about 139 degrees Fahrenheit.
That
So
no,
yeah, it's that's
no.
about as hot as it gets. But thankfully, and I didn't bother to check the air temp, but good to know that it's a little cooler. And I think you can kind of notice that. Obviously, we both mentioned the Roswell Motorsports guys are all taking right side tires only. So they're trying to see what they can do. Obviously, wasn't sure early on if the temperature would lend itself to that or not, but we'll wait and see where that nets them out. Obviously, it got them up a little bit closer in the pack. Obviously, Bud now mixing it up in about 5th or 6th position side by side with the 32 at the moment. And yeah, we're just we did have obviously a change for the lead. I mean, really, that's only been like the 3rd or 4th, other than obviously the outside and the inside lines leading at different times. But Gabe Butler started from the pole, the 25, got around him on the high side, and they kind of sat there for quite a while. Dean Wilkinson got up to the front, and then he moved back to the high side, and then had to move further on back of the field. But Robert Hooligan getting ahead of Gabe Butler, and now he's going to take command of this race, and going to see what happens for the final 30 laps as we hit the 2/3 mark here in this 90-lap contest.
Now I'm looking at. Excuse me. I've been looking at the fuel numbers here. I think they might have to take one more stop there, Boomer, because we're at lap 62. Maybe, possibly, maybe a splash and go, but I think we're going to have a change for position for our leader right now. It looks like Gabe Butler has got around the 126 Robert Hogan, and Rick Sanchez is going to follow him. And Kevin Freeze on the top side. Nope. I think Kevin may jump to the bottom. Yes. Now the nope. I'm just not going to jinx it anymore. Yep. Kevin did fall back in line.
Yep, there he goes, yeah. So single file for now. 88's going to take back over the lead of this race. The 5 of Rick Sanchez behind him, the 126. 25 of Kevin Freese, and the 32 of Seth Gruber. Seth winning most recently on Thursday night. Fan favorite win there. Always good to see the Gruber brothers up front. And unfortunately for Patrick, he found some similar issues hitting the wall early on, and he's actually one lap down, but also off of the pace here So he is quite a
Right.
ways behind our leaders and going to have to dig out of a hole. We've got the 51, the 53, and the 54. Just need a 52 car to throw in the mix there, but they're running in the, well, Jim and Kawabi Brooks are running 15th and 16th, and then Patrick Groover is one lap behind them, running together in this pack of three, as they are a few seconds, probably about half a lap or so, about 15 seconds behind our leaders at the moment, as they lost the draft. And then we saw Dean Wilkinson does have a drafting partner now in Dustin Logston, but he is still there in, well, Dustin passed him for position, so he's in the 14th position now, but is 4 or 5 seconds now behind our leaders. And again, if this does go the distance, that's going to be very detrimental to the points, especially heading into the final race of the season for the number 55 of Dean Wilkinson. As we talked about it, he came in good position, good standing, within a couple points of points leader Gabe Butler, who leads this race at the moment. And if Dean were to finish as low as he is right now, it'll probably become just a two-horse race next week for the championship. Obviously not mathematically out of it, but
Right.
will absolutely need to improve his position if he wants to try and throw his name still in that hat for the championship battle next week, Matt.
For a moment there, it kind of looked like those four tires are really starting to pay off. But as I saw they passed the traffic of Ambrose Neal when they passed him, it's field's starting to kind of spread out a bit. I've been noticing that a little bit. I wonder if handling is really starting to be an issue, or are they trying to save fuel? I'm just quite curious.
Yeah, fuel wise, we should be good. Everyone so everyone really except for Seth Groover and Patrick Groover, they pit on lap 42 together. And maybe Charles Johnson, who pit on lap 54. Everybody else can pretty much make it the distance to go the rest of the way. So everybody in this front pack has no concerns whatsoever pitting on lap 47. So they pretty much, not entirely, but pretty much can go 100% all the way the rest of the way.
Right now, I'm seeing a pass for position. Looks like Kevin Freeze is right underneath that 126 of Robert Hogan. He can't seem to get that. He's got a fender in it, but Robert Hogan is having that high side momentum when the 5 and the 88. They kind of do like almost a traditional style line there, Boomer. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But
yeah, for sure. You notice, and that was something that we noticed when the tires start to wear out a little bit. You have an opportunity to try and run that line and even kind of help. Even with or without the draft, we actually saw a couple single cars actually use Charles Johnson by himself, kind of running that line and running pretty comparable times to the leaders up at the front. Once tire wear became an issue for the first couple laps, obviously there's a big difference there. But yeah, was. Looks like we've got a little bit of a new leader battle shaping up as the 5 has found his way to the inside of the 88, and the 126 of Robert Hooligan helping on the high side, the 25 of Kevin Freese behind the 5 on the inside, side by side, and the 88 is going to be clear back down on the bottom, taken back over the lead here with 20 laps to go.
man, that top line looks really good, Boomer. Probably if that 32, and if he does, I don't think he's going to get to Robert Hooligan on the top side there, because that 126 is pretty quick on the outside, but he did take four tires on his last stop, and he's still kind of hanging tough there on the outside.
Yeah, it's interesting to see. We've seen single cars almost do as well, like just hanging on the quarter panel, side drafting a little. But we've seen like single cars do more on the high side than we have seen cars line up in a pack. There really haven't been a lot of passes around the outside that we've seen almost all race long. So it'll be interesting to see. And I mean, we've actually got a little bit of a disconnection there between the 88, the 5, and then 25, and the 126. About a car length in between all those. But the 48 and company are actually starting to close back in.
This field is starting to bunch up a little bit. I think they're starting to realize that top. Hey, look at 126. Look at the 5. They're doing really well on the outside right now. I think everybody's starting to take notice. It's Nick Wing. I think we're going to come 3 wide up here in the back. Oh, that's always scary here, Atlanta. Oh, they made it.
Yeah, just barely. 071 might
Oh
have ticked
my
the wall just a
goodness.
little bit there, but they are through. And that is definitely a hornet's nest there from about 7th all the way back to 12th at the moment. Settling out just a little bit now. But it's been a good battle. Good battle at the front, too. Rick Sanchez holding strong, still kind of by himself. About 2 car lengths separating the 88 to the 25. About, 3 car lengths as they stretch out down the front straightaway. But we're 16 laps to go and clicking them off very quickly. We mentioned at the top
Right.
of the show, it's 30-second laps. These guys can run 180 miles an hour through the middle of the corner. And even though they're only doing like 185, maybe 190 down the front stretch and the back stretch, like they could at Old Atlanta, you couldn't run near 180 miles an hour in the corners, and that's the biggest difference for those sub 30-second lap times. Is the 5 is a little high there, but does not get the wall and is able to continue on. So, but I mean, 90 laps, green flag can be almost 45 minutes, 50 minutes, and
Oh, Rick in the wall.
ooh, Rick's there in the wall too high. And he's going to be able to hold on. I don't think he's got any damage. Same thing that we saw Seth Groover do earlier on in this race. But hopefully that didn't upset the balance of his car at all. And he'll get back in the pack here, staying in this lead draft. But definitely some tire wear potentially, or maybe battling a little bit of a tight condition for the 5 there.
Yeah, that's usually Rick is a 4-tire person, but I think I might have seen up on the jacks. I think I saw 2 tires on that stop. He's really starting to pay for it now. Some of these other guys who were on 2 tires, like let's see, 25 with Kevin Freeze, the 48, and all them, they've been they're getting a little bit feisty back there, Boomer. You have to excuse me, but these guys up here, they've been kind of like really conserving their tires, which is really smart, and not really, pushing the issue. And as you can tell, it's kind of paying off for them. They're not really burning their right front off. That's really, really, you don't want to do that here because you're going to wash up.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of drivers wash up. It's not as bad, but I mean, some of it's just because you want to go full throttle because you can for like the first 10, 15 laps. But then at some point you got to start lifting just a little bit, and there's definitely a lot of drivers that I don't know if stubborn's the right word, but they just you want to get all you can, and
Right.
usually lifting just a little bit. Even like early before like the entry of the corner, slowing down and then throttling up, at like the maybe 1/3 or 1/4 mark of the corner, and then full throttle all the way through works out pretty well to get a good run off the corner. Because obviously, you're not going to really be able to, you're not really going to be able to dive bomb somebody by having higher corner entry speed at a track where super speedway style, with how much this banking is, you can carry a lot of speed in the corners. But you're going to have more advantage down the straightaways if you can try and maximize that. That's probably more important than trying to dive it into the corner deep, because there's really not much room for error as we get a
Come
little
on, hang
high
on
there.
to it.
There's a
Hang on
moment.
to it.
3
Hang
wide.
on to
Ryan
it.
Decker touches the 46, and there he's going to go around. He's going to go for a ride.
Oh.
Into the wall is the 48 machine of Ryan Decker. He stays pointed straight, so no yellow is thrown, but there is a ton of damage to that number 48 Sensi Chevrolet, and that is unfortunate for what he was having. Was a very good night tonight. 3 wide and just a little bit of a touch between the 126 and the 32, and the 32 is up in the wall here at the front of this pack. And we've got more wrecking going on. A big moment for the 12 and the 76. That'll throw a yellow.
Oh, hang on to it.
Oof. Zach Perry goes around. A bit of a pinball moment there.
Like I talked about earlier, those guys who took 2 tires were desperately in trouble. And with all that dirty air and all the push that's going on, eventually there's going to be a lot of checkups for people who didn't hold back anything.
Yeah.
And now look what happened.
Yeah, it's interesting to see. So the 32 obviously out of the picture, but he's already in the fence. But the 17 just gets into the back of the 12, and there's nothing that Ed can do. And the 17 kind of finishes him off there, tries to avoid the contact there, pushes him back a little bit straight, but the 12 is already recorrecting, and that's where you get the big moment there for the 76 going up and into the wall, almost into the catch fence. And yeah, definitely we'll liven that up a little bit
Oof.
there, Belva. A little bit more exciting after what's been really a really clean, a really quiet race so
Yeah.
far. So a bit of a moment for the 32, the 76. And that will bring us to, we'll jump back live as we got pit stops underway. So Gabe Butler is going to get off first, it looks like, with Kevin Freese, followed by Jason Bogart, who I don't think has repaired damage just yet. But we'll keep an eye on that in a moment. Robert Hooligan's going to come off fourth. Rick Sanchez, Ed DeBoer. And then a lot of cars coming off pit road a little bit slower. Seth Groover, Bud Steele, Eric Laurie, Dean Wilkinson. So this is a saving grace there for the 55. He has an opportunity to get back up into this lead pack. 8 laps to go. It's going to be a short race to the finish here. And we'll see where he can net out. But that's definitely going to bode well for his playoff championship hopes. So we'll see if Dean can capitalize on this moment where he's been given back just a little bit here. So we'll see. So Seth Groover was involved, but it looks like he may have taken his fast repair. Ed DeBoer was involved as well. Fast repair, it looks like, for him as well. And Jason Bogart kind of started the whole thing, but he did not actually repair any damage. So he's going to take fuel only, it looks like. Gabe Butler and Kevin Freese also potentially fuel only based on the pit time. And then pretty much everybody on back taking 4 tires. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there, Matt.
Well, I'm looking right now where we got the one to go here. Looks like Patrick Gruber is going to take the wave round, so he's going to get his lap back actually really the hard way. He's going to be... Can he make enough fuel? That's the question.
Yeah, he pitted on lap 42, so he would have to save about, what would that be, 42, 84, so about 6 laps, which really isn't too bad.
Yeah.
So I think he can do it with the caution there, but so yeah, gets the wave around because everybody else pit, so that will put Patrick on the lead lap as well, so an opportunity has opened back up for him. So Bob Fitzgerald will now be the only car 1 lap down. Carl Lingle will be 2. And then Ambrose Kniebel will be, I think, 3 or 4. He was 5 at one point, so we'll see where he nets out. But lights are off on the pace car. It'll be 6 to go when they cross the line. So it'll basically be a green, 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 white checkered for the end of the race.
I was kind of doing real quick, trying to see who took 4 tires, who did not. It looks like most of these guys took 2. Okay, Rick took 4. I think that's all I got.
All right, green flag is back in the air as the 88's going to pull away. Kevin Freese on the outside is going to try and duck down, or the 88's going to jump up with a teammate, and they get into the outside wall. The 126 of Robert Hooligan, everybody behind him follows suit in the wall, and it looks like they're going to be 3 wide coming off of 2. The 126 gets turned into the outside wall and up and over.
Oh, no!
Big moment for the 126.
Oh.
Not quite clear, and the 126 goes for a ride.
Oh, he did. Oh, man.
So we'll head back to that immediately, and you can see there, we watched it from this view live, but the 12 just unfortunately in that space, the 126 trying to come up, and he's going to go for a wild ride, hits the hood of the 6 of Bud Steele, and then flips up and over, and a couple cars able to get around that. Looks like the 48 of Ryan Decker just barely escaping that damage, and the 30 is going to come in here and just barely nick the 126 at the end.
Man.
And everybody else behind him checking up enough to not cause any further chaos here. So, yeah, that pretty much only going to hurt Robert Hooligan and maybe Bud a little bit. Obviously, a little bit of a damage to the nose. Hopefully there wasn't actually, I mean, honestly, the car actually looks a lot cleaner than I thought it would. So, with some weird net code potentially where, maybe the 6 really didn't end up too bad. yeah, we'll see if he comes down pit road or not. And then obviously Ed DeBoer involved in this one too, but not really any damage for him this time in this second yellow. As we'll jump back live and we'll see. It looks like Patrick Groover is going to come down and get a little extra fuel. Jim Brooks may be doing the same thing, and then obviously Robert Hooligan with that very torn up 126 machine. Thankfully able to get it back on all fours, get it right-sided, and should be burning this fast repair here for him. And gets ready to get back out there and try to salvage what was a really solid night that he was having. So we'll see if the strategy plays out again. But we saw obviously the 88 jump to the high side in front of Kevin Freese after he did a good jump on the restart. So they, obviously having to start side by side, but they are teammates and want to work together. And you'll see Bob Fitzgerald there is going to pass the pace car. He's going to get his lap back, so that'll be lucky dog for Mr. Bob Fitzgerald there. It looks like, and yeah, so we'll see if that I mean, it seemed like that strategy was going to work out for them, but obviously you saw like the 126 and everyone on back. As the 88 came up and the 25 came up just a little bit, everybody just kind of snaked and followed them up there, and then there's no more racetrack. There's wall there, and that was when the 126 hit the wall and slowed him down, and that's what put him in that 3-wide situation. And it's crazy how fast things can change and things can happen here at the 1.5 mile speedway, Atlanta Motor Speedway here. Again, 30-second laps. This is, definitely can be a tough track. I know the speeds aren't crazy compared to obviously Daytona Talladega, but it's just how tight these corners can be, and a lot of stuff can happen just so quickly here. So we'll have, when we come back to it, it will be a natural green-white checkered here for the first attempt at 1 for the second restart here of the night. Alright, so we re-rack and restack 2 by 2. There are 20 cars on the lead lap who will be trying to win this race here tonight. Dean Wilkinson back up to the 7th position. He's got to improve a few more if he wants to stay in that championship hunt. The 88 of Gabe Butler still in control of the lead and the points. And Dean Wilkinson there, Rick Sanchez there in the 5 in the outside lane behind the 25 of Kevin Freese. He's going to try and see what he can do to improve his position and try and leapfrog the 88 to see if he can score some points as the championship continues to have implications on the race. The 55 getting the saving grace of that first yellow, and we'll see again what he can do with that opportunity. But we are about to go. Green lights are off on the pace car. It's going to pull into pit road here, and we will be waiting for Gabe Butler to hit the gas pedal and get up through the gearbox, back up to speed, and see if we can finish this race on the first green-white checkered attempt here on Green-White Checkered TV. Green flag back in the air at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Same strategy. The 88's going to jump to the top, and when the 25 moves to the high side, the 5 follows suit into the wall.
Oh, my goodness.
And there's a caution further on back, though, and they're wrecking all over the place.
It started up front, Rick got on the wall, and just like a chain reaction.
Yeah, it's so funny how that happened again, where, 25 obviously is just kind of following up to the wall. He's tight to the wall when he gets there, but the car behind him just trying to nose out just a little bit, and there's no more room. There's no more racetrack. So, yeah, we'll have to, we'll see. So, yeah, we'll see if we can find a good point to replay. I'll rewind it here just a little bit, and we can see where the 5 gets in the wall. See if we can grab TV3 here maybe. So yeah, so you see the 5 in the wall, and that checks up. Obviously the 12 jumps to the middle there, gets in, so he's going to get in behind. Oh, this issue came from way further on back. So if you're looking at the 54 of Patrick Groover, he is in this mess with the 81 Dustin Logson, the 79 Mike Rimkus, the 071 involved. So we'll rewind it back and focus on these guys here, because this is where the yellow actually came out. Obviously, there's some more chaos after the fact, but you see the 54 here trying to make a move to the inside, and the 28's coming down, and The 071 is there, so now they're 3 wide. The 54 turning low to try and enter the corner low, and just not enough real estate for all those race cars, and they're going to get together here. And yeah, big moment. So the 071 just kind of gets spun around. The 54 makes big contact. The 79 again makes contact there. The 28, the 30 actually gets a big chunk out of the front end of that car as well. So actually potentially there, maybe doing the net code it popped back. So yeah, definitely a big moment for some of these guys further on back in the field. We did see some not really extracurricular, but some other activities happening there. As you saw, yeah, so we'll see it here. So after the wreck, and we'll rewind this too, just to see exactly what happened here. But so this was ahead of what happened that caused the yellow flag, because you can see the gap there, but they're still going through the corner. So from the 53, the Quabi Brooks on back, everything else behind that was the original incident. And then this was a secondary incident where you see the 9 starting to go low and gets into the right rear of the 76. And he's going to get into the 48 of Ryan Decker, and those two are going to go for a ride. So the 9 coming down, and the 76 is there, and then that turns both of them up into the 48 and going for a little bit of a spin and a ride for those 3 cars. So that was well after the initial caution in incident. So actually maybe saving grace, there weren't a lot of cars. You see the 30 squeaking by then, but there weren't a lot of cars behind them to pile into that. So yeah, jumping back live though. So we've got caution here, and keep forgetting actually to play our commercials while we have the chance. So why don't we do that now, and we'll hear from our sponsor, Sensi.
At Sensi, we love fragrance, how it makes us feel, how it connects us to our deepest memories, how sharing those memories connects us with each other.
And as it turns out, there's a lot of people who feel the same way and share Sensi's core values of simplicity, authenticity, and generosity. Our beautiful campus in Meridian, Idaho welcomes employees, consultants, and the community year-round.
That's why we've grown from selling just warmers and wax to selling a complete line of products, so you can fill your life with fragrance no matter where your day takes you.
Whether it's fun partnerships with beloved brands, innovative, high-performing cleaning products, laundry care that smells as good as it works, or personal care products to create your signature scent, Sensi products are made to share.
Maybe that's why our culture has always felt like family. We call it Sensi Spirit. It's a feeling of love, acceptance, generosity, and community that we share freely with everyone we meet. And we welcome you to experience it yourself. Like it? Buy the product. Love it? Host a get-together with your friends. Want more? Start your own Sensi business. You can earn amazing trips around the world and rewards. You can work your business whenever and wherever you want, giving you more time.
And we are back for the restart here. The second green-white checkered attempt is going to be Gabe Butler on the inside. He is going to lead us to the green flag. He is now ahead of his teammate Kevin Freese, so he will not have to jump up to the high side. He's already there and connected, and we'll see what the 17 and the 32 can do in the outside lane here. Jason Bogart's trying to move forward, but no help at the moment. The 32 is coming, but the inside lane has a bunch more momentum as the 88, the 25, and the 5 are almost clear of the 17, and they are pushing like crazy at the front of this one, trying to bring it home for a victory. 2 laps to go. We'll come into the white this time by. Now the 32 gets to the back of the 17, and he's got plenty of momentum. We'll see if they can get there. The 88 getting a big push from the 25 and the 5 behind him. Does Jason Bogart have enough? Does Seth Groover have enough to push him all the way up to the front? They have good momentum. They're even with the 25 at the moment. Through turns 3 and 4, Gabe Butler is still clear of the high line. He has the push from teammate Kevin Freese, and at the line, is it going to be enough? It's not. The 88 is going to come home victorious, and they're wrecking behind.
It's nice to see Jason Bogart finish really well in this league. Really nice. Well done there, Jason. Second place. Well done.
From the pole, though, it's going to be the 88 of Gabe Butler. The leader in the points standings is going to stretch that out heading into the final race of the season in the 88 Guinness Chevrolet. We'll bring up the rest of our unofficial race results here. As we already talked about, Gabe Butler coming home from the pole as a winner, then Jason Bogart in the 17 of 1776 Motorsports. He is coming home with a second place finish. And apologies for some audio issues there. We are going to cut that out. Shouldn't need the race or the car audio anymore, so we're going to cut that out, figure those audio issues out later, so apologies for that, for anything that came through. But Kevin Freese is going to come home in the third position, and team now listed as not on one, so Kevin Freese coming home, pushing the 88 of Gabe Butler to the victory there. Seth Groover there, a solid night, coming home in the fourth position. Rick Sanchez in the number 5 will finish in the 5th position. Unfortunately, championship rival Gabe Butler finishing in the first position, so he's going to lose a few points. But Dean Wilkinson had a really nice recovery to at least get home in the 6th position and try to save what he can for that championship battle after losing that lead draft after the green flag pit cycle. Bud Steele in the 6th is going to come home in 7th place for Roswell Motorsports. Then Robert Hooligan, we saw there, he hit the wall on the first green-white checkered attempt and unfortunately caused a bit of an accordion and then ended up 3 wide and in the fence and up and over the roof of Bud Steele. So I'd say 7th and 8th is a solid comeback for both of them. Charles Johnson immediately at the beginning of the race lost the draft, and for the longest time was probably the most exciting thing that we had to talk about. But he comes home for a solid recovery in the top 10. Quabi Brooks with a solid quiet night for him. They're in 10th in the top 10 for him. So Ed DeBoer just behind him in the 11th position in the number 12 car. In the 12th position is going to be Zach Perry, the other half of 1776 Motorsports, coming home in the 12th position. So Dustin Logston there in the 81 going to be finishing in 13th with Nick Wing and Eric Laurie rounding out that top 15. We saw Bob Fitzgerald, Mike Rimkus, and Ryan Decker there. 16th through 18th. We saw Ryan Decker involved in a couple incidents and unfortunately not able to recover too much from that, losing all that track position later on in the race. And we'll bring the rest of the results back, coming to that second page there. So we saw Patrick Groover get into the wall, and then him and his brother had to pit early on, and ended up being able to save enough fuel for them to get back up, and had the caution late to be able to save enough fuel. Patrick Groover took the wave around, but unfortunately got back to the lead lap and then still had to finish one lap down, as well as Jim Brooks in that number 51 Ford Mustang. And then Ambrose Kniebel and Carl Lingle, the two Blind Squirrel Racing teammates, are going to come home tonight in the 21st and the 22nd positions. So that will do it for the running order, and we're going to get into the interviews in just a second here, as we've got a couple guys that we're looking forward to talking to after tonight's activities. So first up is going to be the number 25. That's going to be Kevin Freese, coming home in the 3rd position here tonight after what was a little bit of a crazy finish to a very long green flag run. From your own words and perspective, Kevin, what got you to that 3rd place finish here tonight?
That I accidentally I wanted to take 4 tires on that last pit stop, so I had to save a whole lot more on that final run in terms of the right front, just so not to make the lefts too angry because they were getting pretty worn. And then we were able to just set our own pace, especially with the guys behind us getting side by side. I was just trying to break us away as much as we could, even if it meant, I think that was with like 15 to go, trying to break them away, and then had some good restarts. I actually preferred lining up 3rd because this restart zone thing, while it's a necessary thing, it scares the crap out of me because I got hit with it once in an official, so it just has me a little nervous. But thank God everything worked out all right. Got Gabe the win, and I think that sets him up pretty decent in terms of the points. Yeah, he's the points leader with one race to go.
Yeah, we knew he came in with a points lead heading into the race, and then obviously strengthening that lead with the run tonight. But looks like you guys were, I mean, pretty much in the mix all night long. We saw with the nighttime setup for the server in the cool area, it seemed like the cars weren't sliding around nearly as much as we've seen in the past, especially here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. But talk us through how the cars were handling out there tonight.
Yeah, they actually got incredibly tight. I don't know what. I'm sure it was just because you could push just a little bit harder in the beginning. There was a lot more grip on that right front. I was actually trying to play around before the rooms all opened up to see if I could just get that track temp to be a little bit higher without making it so that the ambient temperature was so high that you couldn't get near anybody. But there was just unfortunately absolutely no way to do that. The way that they had it set up. I mean, I was only getting it was degree for degree. So ambient temperature +1, track temp would go up one. Like, but yeah, I think it made it more of a track position race. Like you could still burn your stuff completely off. Like my right front was down to 47% on that first run, which scared the crap out of me a little bit. But yeah, we were able to keep it up front, manage it a lot better on that second run. So great run tonight.
Yeah, definitely seemed like a good opportunity for you guys, and it seemed like it was actually more fitting when Jason got ahead of you for the what was ended up being the final restart, the second green-white checkered there. When you realized that Jason was going to be between you and Gabe, and you could line up behind Gabe, were you excited to have the teammate in front of you and didn't have to try and make a move to coordinate getting lined up together?
A little bit of that, but mostly not having to be in that restart zone stuff. Because, like I've said, you can have the restart completely timed perfectly, and then it just burn you randomly. So it's just a lot easier mentally to not have to deal with that thing.
Absolutely. Well, definitely a solid push, and I'm sure we'll be hearing from Gabe mentioning that at some point during his interview. But for yourself, obviously, opportunities now for any thanks or shoutouts you'd like to give for that third place finish here tonight, Kevin.
Yeah, thank you to you and Matt for putting on the broadcast. It's always great run by the guys tonight, getting that green flag pit run. It looked like everybody did a pretty good job even getting through the green flag pit stops without carnage. So that's pretty awesome when you can do that here. And thank you to the boys at Team Bootnaka for a great run. And yeah, hope everybody enjoyed the show tonight.
Good deal. Well, congratulations, Kevin, and hope to talk to you again soon, buddy.
All right, catch you later.
Alrighty. Next up will be the 1776 Motorsports entry of Jason Bogart as we bring him up here into the broadcast booth and we say congratulations to him on a hard-earned second place finish. A little bit of damage there on the front nose of the that Impala SS for the Chevrolet, but nonetheless still coming home a solid second place finish for you tonight. Jason, take us through what it took to get there.
Oh man, it was a fun one. Saving tires, saving tires, saving tires.
Yeah, it seemed like with the cooler air, it was a little bit easier, not as terrible on tire wear, but it seemed like a lot of people were still making sure that they'd elect to take four tires. A couple gambled with two, but it seemed like just about everybody was trying to grab four tires when they could there.
Yeah, I took 4 on the green flag stop, and then I took 2 on the stop after that first caution, and just stayed. I didn't even know I had damage. I'm glad you pointed that out. I see it on the broadcast now, but yeah, it didn't seem to affect it. The two tires is faster in the short run, so that's why I was like, well, there's only like 10 laps left, so I'll grab 2 and see what I can make happen here.
Yeah, I think damage might have come. What was it, the second? I think yeah, that would have been like maybe the second yellow there, but yeah.
Yeah, unassured clear distance. I got into the 12 a little bit.
Yeah. Actually, was that if I'm not mistaken, was that the first caution then?
It was,
Okay.
yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, I guess take us through what happened there. Obviously, it looks like you guys were just doing some tight racing, but obviously from your vantage point, what was the issue there?
Uh, for the caution,
Yeah. Yeah.
just I just didn't check up enough. I saw like 9 or 10 laps left. All right, it's time to go. And he checked up more than I did, and I was like, oh, I didn't want to wreck him.
Yeah.
Definitely
Yeah.
didn't want to wreck him.
Yeah, understandable for sure. Obviously, at that point, it's like, hey, you want to focus on moving forward. And I know, obviously, the 32 was up in the fence behind you guys, and a couple things going
Oh
on in the
yeah.
round. But glad it didn't seem to have any impact, at least on on the performance of the car. So, but yeah, looks like one thing that we were asking Kevin, obviously after the first green white checkered, we noticed you got ahead of Kevin, and then they were no longer side by side, but they were nose to tail when they line up on the restart. Did you think that was going to be an issue, or did you think that you and Seth were going to have enough to be able to work together to potentially try and push around them?
I don't really know whether I liked starting behind Gabe or beside Gabe, to be honest, because on the off the jump he would go up and get in front of Kevin anyway. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna try and take the bottom, but it never worked out on those 2 tries. So trying the top was cool, and I felt way back at first, and I was like, oh no, but you know, Groovers the Groovers are some of the best pushers in here, so he kept me in second. So I thank him for that.
Yeah, definitely. It seemed like it was weird because you could see cars on the high side being able to almost make progress on their own. But when you had like a line of cars, it almost seems like a line of cars didn't make as much, or didn't make a ton more additional progress. But obviously the 32 finally got to your back bumper there. Into turns 1 and 2 on the last lap and down the back straightaway, and you guys had a little bit of a run, but too little, too late. But at one point, did you realize like, did you think you were gonna have enough of a run once you and the 32 were able to get connected, or were you just kind of along for the ride and whatever happened kind of happened?
Hey, I was just happy to finish well, and I'll take all the points I can get. But once he got to me and started pushing, I was like, "Ooh, it might happen." But hey, I already got my win last season, so I'm good. I'm just happy to come in the booth and talk to you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, no, very exciting for you, Jason. Definitely a solid P2 for you tonight here. So, that opportunity now roll out that red carpet for you for any thanks or shout outs you'd like to give for that podium placing.
Oh yeah, I got to shout out the fan club, right? Grandma, grandpa, my dad, my mom, stepdad, mom, I already said mom, brother, sister, Zach's whole family, and my fiance Emily and everybody. 1776 Motorsports, Jacob Lee Racing. They do a lot of good stuff for us. So
Good deal. Well, congratulations to you, Jason, and hope to talk to you again very soon.
thanks, Boomer. Thanks, Matt.
Thank you, buddy. Good job.
Alrighty, so we've got one more interview here, and that is going to be race winner Gabe Butler. Definitely something that we've heard and seen a lot in the past is that number 88 heading to victory lane. Gabe, obviously no stranger to victory lane here, but want to hear from your vantage point what it looked like for what was pretty quiet first 80 laps of the race, and then a little bit of chaos there for the final 10.
Yeah, it looks like all hell broke loose there at the end, but luckily enough, we were ahead of it. So, I ended up kind of staying clean and kept the car straight, and we were able to get the victory.
Definitely was exciting to watch. Obviously, both from the green flag perspective, and then obviously some of the fun at the end. I talked to Kevin and Jason about it a little bit, but I'm assuming you were probably a little more excited after the first green white checkered when you realized that Jason was ahead of Kevin, and you knew that Kevin was going to line up behind him. But I seen that kind of was something that you guys were pretty excited about and played right into your strategy to try and to get the push for the win.
Yeah, it did there at the end. We just had to time our start inside the restart zone, and we were able to get a good start. Jason did a good job on the outside there. I think he lost a little bit of help, but he came roaring back and almost got it there at the end. So good job on his part, and of course, again, great pushing by Kevin. This car was kind of unusual tonight. I mean, the first race we had here in this car, they had to save tires. We knew that going on, but we weren't really sure tonight, and it turned out we really had to save that right front, and I think that benefited us for the majority of the green flag part of the race anyway. And so, yeah, this car is a fun car to drive here. It's a fun track. Definitely got to save those tires, man, and make your way forward after that.
Yeah, it seems like everybody, other than a few, were trying to, making sure that they were taking four tires every time. Couple gambling on the strategy there, but seemed like that was pretty important tonight, even with the cooler track temps. All so important tire wear here at Atlanta.
Oh yeah, for sure. And that's what I said. Being at nights and cooler track temps. I mean, you get more grip, so the more grip you have, I guess the more wear on the tire, and we found that out pretty quick. I know at the start of the race, the outside line was really pushing. We didn't hear them lifting at all, and we started lifting pretty early, and finally they figured it out, but it was too late. They faded a little bit, but yeah, fun race overall.
Yeah, absolutely. I know. I mean, you guys kind of put yourself in good position, obviously grabbing the pole, and then really kind of managing it from there. At one point, obviously, Kevin kind of got ahead of you and kind of controlled the first, really maybe third or more of the race before the green flag pit cycle, and um, we didn't see a ton of passes for the lead, but obviously we saw Robert Hooligan get up there, and then obviously he had the incident there on one of the restarts. But it seemed like the outside lane was at times like we noticed like one single car almost had enough momentum to be able to run faster than almost faster than multiple cars. But because I mean we didn't see a lot of cars on the high side make passes. But were you guys trying to stay towards the bottom lane for that reason? Or obviously I know you kind of guys were trying to stick into the top for some of the restarts just because you were side by side. But did you prefer one lane over the other, or did you think it mattered too much?
Um, really here, and Kevin made a good point during the race. It's very difficult to pass on the straights. You really have to pass in the corners here. And I know Robert had got ahead of me there on one of the or after the green flag pit stop. So I said, well, I'll just stay behind him uh, for a while, and then just based on what Kevin had mentioned about trying to pass in the corners, kind of timed it to where I was able to get around him. And I think Rick actually did that to me, but I was able to get Rick back. But to your point, yeah, I preferred the bottom line. I felt I was able to control the throttle a little bit better, and I kind of had that rhythm dialed in, and used the red and white line to pull me around on the bottom a little bit when need be. But so yeah, that was the major plan. And once I knew I had Kevin in third place behind me, then I figured we'd be good on the bottom.
All right, so before I turn you loose, I gotta ask. Obviously, you're gonna extend your points lead. Now you're 12 points ahead of Rick Sanchez, 17 ahead of Dean Wilkinson, and 18 ahead of William Bogart. Nick Wing, 25 back in fifth place. I know obviously you can't really feel comfortable too much with almost any lead, especially when obviously anything can happen in some of these races. But what are your thoughts or how you feeling going into the final race of the season next week at Talladega? And what are you trying to either prepare for, or what are you kind of expecting? I know obviously you've been in this position a few times here at Area 51, but what do you kind of through your mindset, like what are you expecting to kind of focus on and look for next week's race?
Well, I mean, number one is to finish the race and try and not get caught up in anything, and then number two is just go out and try and win it like every race. But again, without getting too carried away, yeah, it is a 12-point lead, but after the first race of this playoffs, Rick was 15 points ahead, and he had a disastrous night in the second race, and I was fortunate enough to win it. So that's how quick it can change. So I think I'll dial it back and just be cautious, but still try to win the race. But keep an eye on those guys too, and just like I said, just be relatively conservative.
Good deal. Well, obviously, it helps to kind of keep with that same strategy. I'm sure we'll see you out there trying to mix it up. Be a little conservative when you can be, knowing that there's a lot on the line for you next week. But I'm sure we'll see you trying to do what you can to win the race and the championship. So, best of luck to you, Gabe, and we'll hopefully talk to you next week. And we'll talk to you then. Have a great week.
All right, guys, I appreciate it.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh,
I
oh yeah,
completely,
yeah.
yeah, I skipped. Sorry. No,
I,
it's yeah.
I, I,
Red carpet. Thanks
I'll
for
go
showing
ahead.
us. Yeah, yeah. Sorry. Go for it.
I'm rolling it out. Well, yeah, listen, thank you to you guys, Boomer, Matt, up in the booth, Area 51, and Green White Checker TV. It's looking forward to going back and looking to this one again, and of course, Team Boot Knocker, Eric, and excuse me, I'm gonna sneeze. Eric and Kevin. That was
Yeah, take a minute if you
sorry.
need it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I got it. I took a breath. I didn't sneeze. Anyway, yeah, Eric and Kevin, great push by Kevin there at the end. Eric just unfortunate again, got caught up in some stuff, and of course, the girls at Golf Pup Social, Selena and Katie, allowed me to run their logo on the car. They got a kick out of last week's win. Was able to show them the video. We broadcasted it at the pub, so they were thrilled, and some customers like, "What the heck is this going on?" So you guys got some airtime. They got some airtime at the pub, and of course all the staff down there too. Big T, Little T, Gracie, and Kiki.
Very cool. Well, congratulations to you and your sponsors for another hard-earned win, and sorry about that. But yeah, definitely appreciate you. You know the cadence by now of the interview process, so I appreciate
Yeah,
you.
we got you.
Yeah, yeah,
We got you
appreciate you
covered.
jumping in there. So, well, anyway, congratulations, Gabe, and we'll look forward to seeing you guys on track next week.
All right, guys. We'll see you then.
Alrighty, so that will do it for the interviews, and yeah, a couple things to wrap up. Obviously, um, we've got lots of two championship battles going on right now, both on Thursday nights and Sunday nights. So Thursday night actually just starts their playoffs, or is going to be starting their playoffs this week, and they are looking forward to a two-race battle into the end of the season to crown their champion. Obviously, got started a little bit late on the Thursday side of things, as well as the Sunday side of things, but with Thursday a lot more of a few more holidays, obviously with Halloween and Thanksgiving there, playing into the factor of having a shorter season. But there'll be 2 weeks, iRacing Super Speedway and Daytona. So this week, Thursday the 12th. You'll see those 12 drivers try to win a championship over there, and then on the 19th, they will have their final race of the season at Daytona International Speedway. So for the 12th, I know for a fact Gael Brooks, same initials, completely different name. Gael Brooks will be running the show, so him and I are swapping Sundays and Thursdays. So you'll be in good hands with our good friend there, Gael, this Thursday, and I hope to be back for the championship finale on the 19th. For the Thursday series, but if not, it'll be again Gael Brooks, his lovely voice that you'll hear there for that championship race. So again, be sure to tune in next Sunday, see if Gabe Butler can bring home this championship, or if any of the other drivers, Rick Sanchez, Dean Wilkinson, or William Bogart, have a chance. Sorry, Jason Bogart there, have a chance to play spoiler and try to take that championship over. Obviously, he made a few mistakes, but I'll blame that on William or Jason, because obviously it's Jason in SDK, but it's William still in Sim Racer Hub, but nonetheless, the driver of the 17 still in that championship battle. So yeah, so 4 cars should be duking it out next week on Sunday. So please come check that out. You will not want to miss that action. And then the next 2 weeks on Thursdays. So outside of the stock car world here at Area 51, obviously we still have the Dark Horse Racing Series on Tuesday nights. So they're taking another week off, couple weeks off here. So they'll be back in Atlanta on December 17th. Then they'll have quite a bit of a holiday break there, coming back on January 17th. So be sure to tune in just over a week's time, and they'll be back in action at Atlanta, and continuing that 2024 to 2025 season. So obviously we were able to get Thursdays and Sundays kind of towards the end here in on a tight schedule, and the Area 51 and Dark Horse series ended up splitting it out and running it a little bit longer into next year as well. So yeah, that'll pretty much do it for myself, Boomer Logan, for my co-host Matt Wagner. Hope you guys enjoyed tonight's broadcast. We appreciate everyone watching back or in the chat. Definitely a little bit of a quiet race, but once the cautions fell, we saw a lot more chit-chat. So appreciate everyone coming out to hang out with us. Appreciate the drivers in the league and everything that everyone does here to make this all happen. So again, for myself, Boomer Logan, and for Matt Wagner, we're going to sign off saying thank you. Hope you have a great week, and we'll catch you next time.